Viewers, for the first time in the history of democratic India, a proposal is being floated to restore the dignity of prime ministers who occupied office and who don't belong to the Nehru-Gandhi fold. The trouble is that Prime Minister Modi's legacy, Equaliser, as it is being called, is being sternly opposed by Nehru-Gandhi loyalists in the Congress party. Now this forces us to ask, is Nehru the only Prime Minister worthy of putting on a pedestal? But before we ask that question, here are the hard facts up front, as always, that capture this entire story in accurate frameworks. Times now has accessed a proposal, viewers, for a museum for all prime ministers of India. The proposal foresees the construction of a building within the Nehru Memorial Complex. The proposal, and pay attention viewers, aims to amend the Memorandum of Association of the Nehru Memorial Museum. The proposal calls for a building to be built to house a memorial for all prime ministers after Nehru without diluting in any way the former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru's stature. There is no way in which this proposal, which envisages the building of another memorial, an annex, in other words, on the grounds of the Nehru Museum Memorial Library, to honor other prime ministers. It's going to be a separate building with separate viewing galleries, and in no way will it impinge upon the existing structure dedicated solely to honoring the legacy of Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. Now, one would have thought an honorable proposal that seeks to restore the dignity that has been denied in some ways to former prime ministers after Nehru by the governments thus far would have been instantaneously acceptable to all political parties, including the Congress party. But this is not the case. Nikunj Garg, our internal security editor, who has accessed these documents and is breaking this story today, joins us with the inside track on this coup against equality that has been led by the Congress. Now, we can tell you about the meeting that took place, Nikunj, if I'm not mistaken, as early as yesterday, in which there was a virtual showdown. Could you just talk us over what happened during that meeting? Because to me, and I will quote from this document in just a few moments, to me, there is nothing objectionable about this proposal. But tell us, what have you heard from your sources about what exactly transpired there?
Well, Rahul, largely, before I come to the point that you're raising, let's actually show our viewers. I'm right now standing right in front of this Teen Murti Memorial Museum and Library. This is the resplendent complex, which houses the artifacts and other memorable material that is there from the first Prime Minister of this country. Many call him the architect of modern India. So this is a huge complex. And if any other building comes inside this complex, as the document you have also says it has nearly 25 acres of property, and another building comes inside this complex, our viewers across the country actually can see, the viewers who are in Bangalore, who are in Chennai can actually see this complex for themselves. Now, about the meeting yesterday, the Home Minister himself, was very recipient of the views of, he received all those views very, very encouragingly actually from Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge and other members of that committee that is there, that the governing body of this museum and library. And he also very, stoutly tried to convince the members of the Congress party that you have to keep in mind that at least 22 more years there were Congress family prime ministers, actually, if we can call them that. Mrs. Indira Gandhi for 17 years, and then Mrs. Indira Gandhi for that much tenure, and then some 5 odd years for Rajiv Gandhi. So he said that their achievements and the work done by them and the work achieved by them for this country under their rule will also be housed in this complex once a new building comes into place. But till that point, Mr. Khadge and other members were very, very robustly opposed to this entire proposal of the Home Minister and the Governing Council. But at that point of time, they showed some amount of willingness to at least listen to that proposal, though they still have raised certain objections. And minutes of that meeting, Rahul, are being prepared. The Home Minister was in his office this morning till about first half. So he instructed about certain issues on that entire matter, and those minutes are being prepared. We will have to see how it unfolds by Monday morning, Monday first half, because that's the time when the minutes will take full shape. But the proposal, the government tells me, the Home Minister's office tells me is final, and the government will go ahead with that proposal of housing another building, housing the achievements and the work done by the other prime ministers other than Mr. Nehru in this country, in this particular building itself. And if you look at it from a common viewer's point of view, average, normal, non-politically aligned viewers, there's absolutely nothing. This is a huge complex right in the heart of the central Delhi. This is just about stone throws away from the president's estate itself, and as you can see, in Lutyens, Delhi, yes. And there's enough space to house other prime ministers' achievements as well in this building. And as you say, that those documents that are with you clearly say that by no way they mean to dilute. That was also the Home Minister's one comment. He told Mr. Khadge that, please don't level this charge of conspiracy against the government. There is absolutely nothing that we are going to do that will dilute in any which way Mr. Nehru's legacy, because I am myself a strong votary of Mr. Nehru's achievements, and I'm a strong votary of the work done by Mr. Nehru in this country. This is what actually Home Minister's impassioned personal appeal to Mr. Khadge was in the yesterday's meeting. Well, so that's the meeting, and this is the building. So our viewers themselves can decide.
Well, Nikul, stay on with me, because throughout history of independent India, it's always been really about Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. Let's just take you through some of the examples of just how much has been invested in building the legacy of Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. We prepared a ready reckoner, hard facts here, once again, on this show. 19 universities named after Jawaharlal Nehru in this country. Perhaps the most for any elected office bearer. 8 prestigious awards are given out in Nehru's name. It's all there on your screens. 10.9 crores was spent by the UPA government celebrating Nehru's contribution on ads in 5 years, just 5 years. The Cong also awarded Bharat Ratna to Nehru. There was only one, in fact, non-Congress Prime Minister who has ever been awarded the Bharat Ratna by the Congress. And that was Morarji Desai, if my memory serves me right. No one else they thought was worthy of that award. Now, I'm going to read out certain points from these documents, which will make it clear how benign this enterprise actually is. And it will also expose the unnecessary paranoia that has gripped the Congress party, which of course has dedicated itself into serving the first family. That is not what I'm saying, but that's a well-accepted charge and to some extent conceded charge made against the Congress. So what does it say? The proposed museum, the new museum on the Prime Ministers of India, if we can just focus on this document. The Government of India has tasked the Nehru Memorial Museum and Library to set up a new museum on the Prime Ministers, very important, not just Prime Minister, Prime Ministers of India, with the prime objective to broaden a better understanding of India's democratic ethos, create curiosity about the office and personality of Prime Ministers among the visitors and the public at large. Now, this document also goes on to divest all doubters, all congressmen of this misplaced notion that this is being done at the cost of diluting Nehru's imprint on India's history or his contribution. It goes on to say, if over and above this, space was available in the museum building and estate, this particular body that is examining this could not understand how displaying the lives and works of other prime ministers and the institution of the prime minister could detract from the original purpose of the NMML, Nehru Museum Library, Memorial Library. Clearly, there are apprehensions, and these apprehensions have been captured. Now, if the Prime Minister Modi is taking on this Namdar culture in this country, should it be opposed? We're a modern meritocratic society, or at least aspire to be one. Why should individuals who are not entitled be also celebrated? It is no accident that people from humble backgrounds have become prime ministers in this country. It's through hard work, sometimes a bit of luck, but most often enough by doing a great deal of work to build themselves up into leaders that inspire confidence. Some of them may not have acquitted themselves very well in office, and that could even be said in terms of the policies is adopted of Jawaharlal Nehru. But that's not the point. The point here is that the Congress wants to oppose this. And the centre says, look, there were others who have contributed to the great story of this country. Let's honour them too. What's wrong with it? Of course, the Congress has been parsimonious in its praise also of Narasimha Rao, but that's a different matter. I just want to throw this open for debate. Nikunj Garg will stay with us because I want to come back to him. I believe that the director of the NML has also spoken. But before I go out to our guests, I want to quickly play out some reactions that have been coming in on this story. I believe it's already sparking a debate. We had accessed these documents and we had gone to certain individuals to seek their response on whether this was an outlandish attempt by the Modi government to try and dilute the dynasty's contribution to India's history, or was this a very, very important course correction? Here is what various people have said.
We have made it very clear that we are not going to dilute anything regarding the legacy of Prime Minister, former Prime Minister or first Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, but we also want to have a proper legacy of the entire country.
The news that a museum is going to be made of former Prime Ministers itself is not a very good idea. But more than that, more complex than that, to say that Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru will not be in that museum displays absolute intolerance and refusal to accept history and a very condemnable desire to change history, to neglect history and neglect what you don't like, which is very, very serious matter for the nation. The fact that Jawaharlal Nehru contributed very significantly to Indian democracy and to the nation cannot be forgotten.
Not be forgotten. That's really the sum and substance of all of this. Is there actually a danger of that happening? Let's throw this open. GV Narasimha Rao, MP and national spokesperson of the BJP with us. Rakesh Sinha, also an MP of the Rajya Sabha with us. Ashutosh Mishra, senior journalist, is with us in our studios. Rajiv Desai, public affairs analyst and Congress sympathizer, someone who's well versed with the contribution of the Gandhi Parivar, is also with us. And so is Kancha Ilaya, human rights activist who has an acute sense of political history. Let me very quickly first bring in GVL Narasimha Rao. GVL Narasimha Rao, the charge is direct. This is a yet another slight towards Mr. Nehru, the Gandhi family, the Congress contribution, and it's been disguised very cleverly as an attempt, the Congress says, to bring about a great equality, a level playing field amongst the various political parties and those from those parties who have gone on to become the Prime Minister of this country. Your reaction?
Rahul, I think you have been laboring on this point in great detail. But I think given the objective of the entire museum, I don't know why why is the Congress party behaving as the slave of a family. I think former prime ministers, I think Jawaharlal Nehru, I think has a
isn't this a case of Musahibs of BJP trying to please their Sahib?
Have some patience. Ask him to wait.
Okay.
Ask him to
wait. Don't use words like slave.
He's objecting his loyalty.
He's objecting to your insult.
He can show his loyalty.
The BJP Musahibs are trying to
He's saying don't use the word slave.
You can show your loyalty later on.
He says don't use the word slave. It has different connotations. He says don't use the word slave. Okay. Okay.
No, I think this is best described as slavish mentality, and I have not studied in Oxford to come up with better words than I think you have some panelists with such scholarliness. They can come up with better words.
BJP
I think it's a slavish.
To please their
slavish.
Fine. We won't take on record the word slave.
Why?
But the sentiment has been expressed by the BJP spokesperson. He's saying that this sycophancy and this culture of sycophancy is being exposed here.
Can I finish my point? Can I finish my point?
Continue.
No, can I just finish? Idea is not to see. Everyone can see at the legacy of our leaders from their own perspective, and and all of them have served this nation. There is a separate museum for Indira Gandhi, hardly a few meters away, maybe less than 300 meters away. And I don't see any reason why even Indira Gandhi should be represented in this. Because why should they be interested only in the same leaders? They have been given their due recognition. There is a separate memorial for even Indira Gandhi 500 meters away. I think P.V. Narasimha Rao, why is an untouchable for the Congress party? Why is his legacy not remembered? He was a prime minister, non-family prime minister of the Congress for 5 years.
No, but what
we are seeing here,
what we are seeing here is this consistent hate that Mr. Modi has for Nehru. And what he's trying to do here is, for the last 4 or 5 years, is to demolish his legacy, to demolish Nehru's legacy and replace it with his narcissist persona. That's what's exactly happening here. Because as you said, there are other
Rahul, if that is what was intended,
okay,
I think we could have this would have been shut down.
No, let's 1 minute. Let's get some clarifications here. No, listen. I'm going to go back to Nikunj Khat. He has been in touch with Home Ministry officials, and I want to ask him, what did they say to you? And I believe they talked to you on record, Nikunj. So everything that you can say can be made pretty public. Did they say that this was being done at the expense of the Gandhis, or did they say that Indira and Rajiv's contribution will also be reflected in this new annex?
Well, Rahul, yes, they're on record for this. They're on record, and it will be part of the minutes of the meeting that will be prepared in the Ministry of Home Affairs on Monday. The Union Home Secretary himself, at the apex of the administration of the Ministry of Home Affairs, will approve those minutes, and it will be on record that Mr. Rajiv Gandhi's and Mrs. Indira Gandhi's contribution will also be housed in this very same building where I am standing right now, right outside the Teen Murti Memorial Museum and Library, and it is only at this particular point that the Congress members of that governing council relented somewhat to the Home Minister's impassioned arguments when he told them that, please don't allege needlessly, do not see a conspiracy where none exists, and therefore he also, at that point of time was able to convince Mr. Khadge somewhat. Mr. Khadge will also bear this out. We can try to speak to him on record, and I don't think there is anything, anything hidden here, because this was a conversation that I am privy to. I was told by the Home Minister's office itself that was the only point when the Congress members relented somewhat. But they continued with this. They were continued with this point that they have objections.
No, so it's almost as if the Congress party is saying the India's political history should be the exclusive preserve of only one family.
No,
Mr. Desai, is that the case? Does the Congress only think that only its prime ministers, only the Nehru Gandhi family has actually contributed to the creation of this great nation of ours?
Rahul, first of all, I think let's mix up the issues. This is not about honoring a Congress Prime Minister or Nehru versus others and all of that. I think the idea of the Nehru Memorial and Museum is to honor his role in the Indian independence movement from the days it started, the 17, 18 years he served in prison, the way he managed to implement the Quit India movement, the way in a peaceable way he managed to get the British.
He was part of a large organization.
So I think it's a.
Are you saying that only he was? I mean, are you suddenly forgetting Bapuji? Are you forgetting the great Iron Man of India, Patel? Are you forgetting Mr. Bose? Are you forgetting? I mean, there are a huge number. The Lala Rajpat Rai's, I mean, the list is endless.
Listen to yourself.
He was one of them.
Listen to yourself.
No, what do you mean listen to myself? Listen to yourself, sir.
Just listen to yourself. It is not honoring one at the exclusion of another. It is honoring one man's contribution. Now, if you want to do the other prime ministers, by all means do it.
So why is the Congress objecting?
Why mess it up here? Why do you have to do it here?
Why not?
No, I am objecting.
No, 1 minute. Hang on. Do you know who owns that building, sir? Do you know who owns that building? It is not. No, it is not the private thief. This is the Communist Party. That is a public building, and the government has every right to decide what use that building should be put to.
So
sorry, sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. There is a massive building. It is a testament, no, to the ingeniousness of the architect. No one else.
Every president has.
No, please. Excuse me, sir.
Don't you talk over me. If you call me here, you hear me out. If you call me here, hear me out. Otherwise, I don't want to be here. You listen to what I have to say, then you can say. Let me finish. This thing is here to honor this one man. Now, by proposing to do this at the very site, you are creating a problem. Obviously, people are going to get upset. So now, the best thing I totally agree that we should have something to honor the other prime ministers, but you can do it some other place. It doesn't have to be done here.
When there is space in the compound. No, 1 minute. No, okay, let me ask you. Let me ask Rakesh Sinha. Okay.
A beautiful new structure can
Fair
be
enough.
built.
You made your point and you're repeating yourself now. Let me bring in Rakesh Sinha. Rakesh Sinha, now the another objection.
Guys are doing this.
The goalpost has been shifted.
To challenge, to try and continue their entire project that started since 1925 to demolish the contribution of this one man and this man who gave us secular
we've heard you, sir. You're now sounding like a broken record. Fine.
So this is 25.5
acres of land is vacant. Only 0.5 acres.
Don't you dare say that. How dare you say that?
Relax.
I can say that you are a broken record and you should be ashamed of yourself as an Indian to bring up an issue like this.
You've said
I don't think it's fair.
You've said
this is
now
a matter
15
of honoring
minutes.
one man. It's not a matter of honor. You want to honor others? Do it somewhere else.
One second. Let me give some facts here. Rakesh Sinha ji, I'm coming out to you.
Is this?
You haven't answered my question. Why do you have to do it there?
I'll tell you why. If you allow me to speak, instead of gagging me every 30 seconds with your invective, steady stream of invective. Now relax, listen to someone else. I've heard you.
You don't even know what invective means.
Rahul.
I know, sir.
Rahul.
I know.
You know
you're supremely well educated in some international college. Don't tell me.
Rahul,
don't tell me about the English language.
Rahul,
I can give you a course on it. So now relax. Okay. 25 acres is the size of the NMML. 25 acres. 0.5 acres is utilized. 24.5 acres is vacant.
It's not anybody's business.
Vacant. Nothing there.
It's not anybody's business.
Nothing there.
Do it somewhere else. That's all we say.
Government, public land.
What if the argument is
I as a stakeholder in this... 1 minute, Mr. Desai, stop it. Relax. Listen to the other point of view. Listen to the other point of view. Okay. I as a stakeholder in this society have an equal claim to that particular land. My taxes go to maintaining the grounds of that land. And I want to bring in Mr. Rakesh Sinha. 24.5 acres, I am being told, is vacant. By putting another building separate from this great, beautiful structure, an ode really to Jawaharlal Nehru, will it lessen his contribution? I want to ask you this question, since that is the charge.
Rahul, addition is not deletion. If we are adding something, that does not mean we are deleting Jawaharlal Nehru or diluting Mr. Nehru. You just see that there are 25 acres land, 10,000 square feet is dedicated to Jawaharlal Nehru. Mr. Rajiv Desai and others should understand what is the objective of a museum. Objective of any museum is not to glorify an individual. Objective is to understand the political process, understand the democratic struggle, understand the contemporary events. And Jawaharlal Nehru is one prime minister. Other prime minister is addition to the Indian democratic process. In the Indian parliamentary history, does not begin and ends with Jawaharlal Nehru. And one more thing, you just see what is the logic. If there are three eternal flames, Nehru, Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi, what is the logic behind that? Because Jawaharlal Nehru and Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi, three eternal flames in the Teen Murti lawn, this means you are deleting Mr. Shastri. If you say that two people have martyred by terrorists, so three prime ministers are there, then Shastri is a martyr. He was killed in Taskam, or there is a controversial death. So why not there is fourth eternal flames of Shastri ji?
Mr. Sinha, the problem here is that this building is not being built for all the prime ministers. They are just an excuse to try and host and immortalize the Nehru hater, Mr. Modi. It is just an excuse. Other prime ministers were there and they realized that their contribution maybe is not as great as Nehruji. That's why then this idea never came up, that they should utilize this land. And why spend, as a taxpayer, I would like to know why spend 270 crore rupees in building a memorial when there are people dying of hunger right here in Delhi? Why not spend it better?
Ex-Prime Minister Shastri ji, what about Shastri ji, Vishwanath Pratap Singh, Chandrasekhar ji, these are the prime ministers who were also a part of the Indian political process.
No, but we must not honor them.
They have
do you know, 1 minute, do you know how much money is spent on the memorials that have been built for three individuals of the Gandhi Parivar? Does anyone know? Do you know that? You talked about numbers right now. If that is the case, if you think all the money that is being spent to either construct or maintain, 1 second, don't shout, I'm telling you something, listen to me. If you believe all this money is being wasted, then shut down all these memorials, because lighting them up, maintaining them, providing security for them.
The contribution of Jawaharlal Nehru to Indian political history. The idea, this is the only reason it's being done, so you can challenge, you can controvert the contribution of Mr. Nehru. That's the only reason this being done.
Wonderful.
It's not because anybody cares about the other prime ministers. So you can go on TV
is also
and you
a
can
prestigious academic.
The leadership and the contribution of this man. It's as simple as that.
Kanchai Lai, I want to ask you, sir. I want to ask you. I want to ask you. Simple question. How does celebrating India's political history in its entirety in any way dilute Nehru's contribution? Can you explain this to me, sir?
Hey, Rahul, I was a Nehru Memorial Fellow for 3 years. And I wrote a book on that fellowship. I stayed in that museum for 3 years. I know the entire land, and I know the peacocks there, I know the environment there, and I had done a great major critique of that library also. You read the book called The Weapon of the Other, the Alternative Nationalist History of Indians. Now the question, first option of mine was that the small building where Nehru's life photographs were put, where he lived, actually that was Jawaharlal Nehru's Prime Minister's residence,
yes,
exactly opposite the President of India, as the top two British viceroys and the other next official lived. My first option, I thought when I looked at it, that there should be a consensus that again should become the Prime Minister's residence. And there should be another place for that museum and library. I respect Nehru's contribution absolutely, there is no doubt about it.
What a wise suggestion.
But the question is, why this government also is choosing the same kind of ideological process? You know, I thought that it was because Indira Gandhi, who was his daughter, converted. See, it should have, our official residence should have been the 10 Downing Street of British Prime Minister residence and the Queen the King. Now, instead, this was changed. Even now, I would advise the BJP government to choose this option. Evolve a consensus that it should become, you know, a beautiful small building where Nehru slept was there. I have seen everything there. Every other thing about his greatness can be built in other place, and other prime ministers also can come up there. But my strong feeling is that it should be the presidential prime minister residence again.
Well put. Okay. So, Mr. Desai, this gentleman, who is usually on your side, says in fact, shut it down in one sense. Let's make it an active mausoleum to Indians' democracy, not some closed, mothballed, you know, mausoleum to a person who lived there years and years ago. Let's put it to use, functional use.
So what
now what do you have to say?
Now
what do you have to say?
No, but not building another building there.
Now what do you have to say?
I think
remote.
May I say something or what? The point is, Mr. Elia has a suggestion that ought to be considered. The issue we were talking about is to build another museum in that place.
Mr. Nehru's contribution.
By the way,
come on, sir. You're sounding completely today like a hypocrite.
As a prime minister,
you're sounding like a hypocrite because you agree with Kanchai in principle. Now it's okay. So let me quickly go back on my argument because someone has made a very sensible point.
Yeah.
Let me take a short break on this one. I'm being told that the director of the NML is going to be speaking to us. He's going to set the record straight. I'm going to come back straight after 2 minutes. We'll take that soundbite. Stick around, viewers. This is getting more and more interesting. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth. What do they plan to do with that memorial? Are they cutting out, diluting Nehru, or are they actually expanding the pantheon of those who deserve today, perhaps, to be in some way or the other honored? Well, raging controversy as a proposal is being pushed by this government to basically tamp down on sycophancy. For many years now, almost 70 years of our independence, the narrative that has been fed to all of us is that Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru was the unparalleled Prime Minister of this country in achievement, contribution, etc. While he's got his place, he's done a lot for this nation, let's not think that there was no one else who contributed to the development and the robustness of our democracy. There have been others. Some of them have been champions of institutionalism. Some of them have been champions of social empowerment. So today one would have expected the Congress party to accept hook, line and sinker a proposal that is being pushed to convert the Nehru Memorial, which is a single, dedicated resource, public building, to celebrating Nehru's contribution, also to habit galleries that would contribute in a separate building. In a separate building, a memorial to the contribution of other prime ministers after Nehru. But no, the Congress party is not doing so. It is accusing the Modi government of trying to dilute the legacy of Jawaharlal Nehru. We posed this question to the director of the Nehru Memorial to ask him if this was indeed the case. This is what he told us. Let's listen in.
What we are doing is removing the non-museum activities from the Nehru Museum building and actually expanding the museum area. So I don't know how expanding the museum area, presenting Nehru's life thematically, in any ways does worse than what has been done. In fact, it actually enhances Nehru's image, enhances Nehru's accessibility to the people in far greater way. So I'm really amazed at this criticism. I guess it comes from a feeling of being unknown what is happening, but I can assure you that absolutely there is no way that the Nehru legacy part of it will be tampered with. In fact, but yes, if your objection is to Nehru Plus, then that is another matter. But as far as Nehru is concerned, it's very much intact.
There you have it, Mr. Ashutosh Mishra. So, there you have it.
So,
then why stand in the way?
The problem here is not with trying to dilute Nehru's legacy.
Oh, really?
The problem here is that a certain gentleman who has been for the last 5 years hammering at Nehru Gandhi family wants to demolish their legacy and hoist his own narcissist persona, is now using the excuse
only
of
this
other
individual
PMs.
has done this.
He is trying to use
who are you talking
PMs.
about? The Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
He is
only
trying to use the other
Let me bring in the BJP. Let me bring in the BJP.
To force his idea onto the nation.
Okay.
After he had his nose rubbed in the
GVL
dirt.
Narasimha Rao.
You know, Rahul.
1 second.
Rahul Kanchai Ilaiya has made a very constructive suggestion.
1 second. Let GVL Narasimha Rao respond, sir, because the charge was against the BJP and someone who was selected by the BJP as prime ministerial face. And the charge is that 5 years ago this was done to eviscerate the Gandhi family. So let GVL Narasimha Rao respond, sir, and I'll come right out to you. Yes, GVL Narasimha Rao.
Well, Rahul, there's no point because they won't be around. It will never be implemented. I guarantee you this will not be done.
Can you let him speak?
Look at the intolerance, Rahul. We are a thoroughly democratic party. We are a democratically elected government. If we wanted to, we could have shut down the entire place. I think we did not need anybody's permission. We truly believe in democratic spirits. We certainly don't want to really shut it down. What prevents us from shutting it down? Tell me. We could have easily shut down the society.
So we should say thank you for not shutting it down.
But we certainly think Honorable Prime Minister.
This is beyond.
Prime Minister, can I ask him to keep quiet? Ask him to keep quiet.
We should thank you for not shutting it down.
You are making idiotic comments. You are making idiotic comments. Therefore, I am telling you, we are very respectful. We are very respectful. But this is not your private real estate.
I can see.
Mr. Desai, 1 minute, let him finish. Don't provoke.
I can see in your language.
No, don't try to derail.
Your language is the language of a street thug.
Oh, come on, please. Now, 1 second, Mr. Desai.
I'm
don't provoke people.
He's derailing it.
You're trying to get under his skin, deliberately provoke him.
Party you belong to.
So that he loses his rank.
The party you belong to.
No, and we lose focus.
I was only asking whether I should thank him for not shutting
Calm down. You can ask him. I'll ask you to rebut him. No problem. But let's do this with some order.
I have no. You take it the way you want it. You take it the way you want it. I am saying this Prime Minister on day one said in Parliament, we respect the contribution of every former Prime Minister. They have all contributed to the building of India, modern India. And therefore, there is no question of not showing respect to any former Prime Minister. But here, building, you cannot say this is my monopoly. You cannot say we will shut down other leaders and we will act as only our families, all the historians, all the journalists who are appendage of Congress party who behave with a slavish mentality. I am only questioning that.
Okay. Mr. Desai. Mr. Desai.
Well,
Rahul,
the fact
Rahul, give me 30 seconds.
Again, you're confusing the issue.
Point.
Nobody is saying that you should not honor the other prime ministers. By all means, honor them. They made huge contributions. But this particular place was designed to honor this one individual's contribution to the freedom struggle. Leave it be. It's our history.
It was built to house. It was built to house the Viceroy.
Therefore,
the Governor General.
That's not the point.
No, please, let's be. It was turned into a memorial. It was built to house a Prime Minister.
You are
please.
Very craftily blending.
No, I'm not craftily. I'm stating a fact. This accommodation was handed over to Mr. Nehru to stay there till the time he was an elected Prime Minister, unfortunately. And regrettably, he passed away while he was in office.
Freedom struggle.
No, come on. It was not built. It was not built as a museum.
For other prime
it was not built as a museum for Nehru. Please.
But why do it here?
It was not built as a reserve for Mr. Nehru to live out his years and then be sort of,
to demean and belittle the contribution of Mr. Nehru, which sticks in the craw of the RSS
Rakesh Sinha.
Since 1930s.
Rakesh Sinha.
Stuck in their craw.
Rakesh Sinha, counter this. Why only this place, says Mr. Desai, before I move on?
Luckily,
counter this.
They will not get the opportunity to implement
build a memorial, he says, build it somewhere else, not on this land. Explain why. He's wrong. If you believe he's wrong, tell me.
Rahul, people like Rajiv Desai cannot understand the importance of 25-acre land in Delhi. You are dedicating the entire 25-acre land to a particular individual that does not reflect the Indian democracy. I am quoting Mahatma Gandhi, who suggested Mountbatten to leave Rashtrapati Bhavan, which is now Rashtrapati Bhavan, go for a small house. After the death of Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal refused, when Mountbatten agreed to go in a smaller house, Jawaharlal Nehru refused that he cannot search a smaller house. After the death of Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru himself shifted to Tinmurti House, where the country where thousands and lakhs of people are without home and food. Homeless people, you are dedicating 25-acre land to a particular individual. The objective of museum is to project the political process of the country. That can be projected through the diversity, and diversities come through the struggle of the.
And then when we get away with
we project a particular prime minister, we project the trajectory of the prime minister's life. So that the Indian political process should come before the Indian people.
What do you say? Mr. Desai, please.
Why not
Mr. Desai, please. He's making a sensible. He's making a sensible point.
There is no point arguing this.
I agree, Narasimha Rao.
The house was never built for Mr. Nehru's use.
There's no point
It was built to house a British overlord. It devolved to Mr. Nehru when he became Prime Minister. And no one in the Constitution said that he must continue to have a claim over it even posthumously. Come on. Come on.
You can argue with me, Rahul. Look at you.
And the claim there, Rahul, is because he is Chacha Nehru. He was loved by all Indians, cutting across religious, caste, creed lines.
So tell me something.
Unlike some prime ministers who are not even loved by his own party men.
What are you saying?
To say it was not built for a prime minister. It was built for a person who built the modern temples of
Show
India.
respect for the post. Forget about the people. Do you think Indira Gandhi, sir, when she suspended democracy and abused every letter of the Constitution, deserves their memorial? I mean, by that logic, then don't give Indira Gandhi even space. No, I'm just saying. By that logic, are you trying to say that people who have done, are you saying that people, prime ministers who have served this country and done a disservice while they were in office should not be honored at all? So then, why would we honor Prime Minister Indira Gandhi with a memorial?
Who said that?
No, I'm just, this gentleman here, Ashutosh Mishra. Ashutosh Mishra. He is now, no, this is the contempt you have. No. This actually shows that you have a
मेहनत करनी पड़ती है
अच्छा
मेहनत करिए
तो और सो नहीं तो नरसिम्हा राव मनमोहन सिंह अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी कंचे खेल रहे थे they were playing marbles when they were prime minister. What are you saying, Ashutosh Mishra? Don't talk nonsense. Please don't talk nonsense. Please, let's make some sense. You want to oppose the Prime Minister Narendra Modi on ideological grounds, oppose him. You want to come out and abuse him, abuse him. But don't be so silly as to lower the level of this debate, sir, to the point of it becoming senseless.
You started it that way.
Give a robust response. Give a robust. You know, your contempt for Modi reeks, sir, of a deep-seated prejudice born out of, sir, a profound inferiority complex. Terribly sorry to say this. 1 minute. Kancha Ilaya, you have heard both sides of the argument tonight. Kancha Ilaya wants to come in on this. Lower everyone's fadas. Kancha Ilaya, man making sense.
This is a directive from your boss. You're doing it as to controvert the Nehru legacy. So,
no, Rahul,
yes,
the whole debate is taking place at a very low level.
Yeah.
The point is, I was the first Indian PhD from Osmania to get fellowship in that museum and library. And I tried to compare with other, great leaders of the world. The point is, George Washington was responsible for defeating the British and establishing American democracy. But in his name, there is no such thing at all which he was occupied. I think morally, whether it is this party, that party, I am very opposed to this kind of allotment of massive public offices, prime ministerial houses, and to the individual memory. Memory lives in books.
Yes.
Memory lives. See, Kennedy was killed and greatest president of America. In Dallas, there is only small house with his photographs. So I think this whole, even BJP is competing on that line. And Congress has built so much, and totally oppose this. BJP, if it has any moral responsibility, let it open a debate for restoring it as permanent Prime Minister residence.
Good point.
And shift this museum and library elsewhere and build others.
Would you accept that point, Ashutosh Mishra? Permanent Prime Minister's residence, active residence? Will you accept it?
Let there be public debate.
Public debate? No, you tell me. What do you need? You have an opinion. You tell me your opinion. Should this museum now be shut down? Maybe its internal should be moved to another building somewhere else, and this should be turned into a permanent president residence. I'm asking you.
If the people of India want it,
yes.
No,
aapki kya raay hai, sir? What do you believe?
I said yes right now, if you heard.
You said okay. Now let me ask Mr. Desai. Mr. Desai, should this entire memorial library be turned into an active residence for the prime ministers of this country, as it was in 47?
Oh, this is something. This is something that the Parliament can decide.
No, I'm asking you your opinion. Since you have so many, I'm asking you, aapka opinion kya hai?
No.
What is your opinion?
Okay,
Rajiv Desai, the thinking man.
Speak then. My opinion is very simple. This entire proposal is intended to create mischief about the contribution of
Mr. Nehru to
India's
the mischief.
Struggle.
I'm asking you, should it be should we stop using this memorial as a museum to Nehru and open it up for all prime ministers? Should we make it into an active prime minister residence? I'm asking you, answer me.
They will never be able to implement this
project. Sir, answer me.
Because by this time next year, there will be history themselves.
Don't talk about this time next year. You tell me your opinion now. So you wanted to become a Jagir of the Congress. Therefore, you don't want to respond. Listen to this. Public property usurp by a Congress party. 27 acres or 26 acres in the heart of Lutyens, Delhi. Is a fossilized museum to the legacy of an individual. People don't even want this to be expanded upon, improved upon. They don't want an annex so that it could be better utilized, attract more, attract more tourists, sightseers, people who are curious about history, so that at least the government can recoup some investment. Look at this. Look at this. Yes, GV and Narasimha, very quickly. I don't have much time.
I actually have to leave.
Much time. I don't have much time. Very quickly.
No, Rahul, I think by building a memorial for all other prime ministers, it will only enhance the prestige of this place.
Well,
because honestly speaking, today's generation does not relate to Jawaharlal Nehru. Let's understand this. He has been he was the first Prime Minister. He had made contributions, but today's young generation don't relate to him at all, except the sycophants in the media who come and try and score brownie points.
Well, let me tell you,
and as far as
it's in black and white. 1 minute, it's in black and white, viewers.
Let them pay.
The assurances are being given to the Congress in black and white, and I'm going to read out some. Because there was a concern that this entire memorial library might be actually suddenly purged off the memory of Nehru, an amendment was made. And it was in this background, here I'm reading, it was in this background that the proposed amendment was thought of to bring clarity to NMML's natural role in the research of political developments of contemporary India. It should be stressed that with the adoption of the amendments, neither was the present mandate being curtailed nor diluted. It's here the assurance the Congress must rise above their servitude to dynastyism, to the culture of namdarism, and embrace this idea. And embrace the concept, which has been largely ignored, that the Prime Minister is the first among equals. We leave it at that.